Good evening, everyone. Welcome to day 5 of our Getting Started with Salesforce. Today, we're going to be learning about object management on the Lightning App Builder. Today, we're touching base with a different segment of Salesforce. We've discussed about security controls and how to access data and records. Now, we're going to be learning how to build objects, models, and how to build applications in Salesforce. It forms the basis of your first project. The first project will be based on you creating an application in Salesforce, and understanding of today's class would help you build that architecture. So according to Salesforce curriculum, the expectations for us today or for this module is to understand the standard object architecture and relationship model. For example, we're supposed to understand what the standard objects are, how the relationships are being created in terms of the master detail, lookup, junction relationships, and also the use of record types. In addition, we're supposed to understand how to create, delete, and customize custom fields, and how to bring these fields in your page layout. In addition to that, we're supposed to know the implications of deleting a field. So if you don't like a field anymore, what are the implications of deleting that field? In addition to that, we're supposed to understand and learn how to, can you please mute? Thanks. We're supposed to understand and learn how to create and assign page layouts, record types, and business processes for the standard and the custom objects we've built. Again, I like to work with bullet points, and in summary, these are the bullet points of the expectations according to Salesforce summary, Salesforce curriculum, and that includes the standard and custom objects, the visibility, the page layout assignment, the custom fields, unique fields, required fields, external IDs. What are the roll-up summary and formula fields, and how you can use Schema Builder to build your models. And most importantly, how you can use record types to create paths, different paths, and business processes in Salesforce. Without wasting much of your time, I will just go straight into my trailer. For those that are still struggling, remember, you need to create an account with Trailhead. And if you already have an account, you don't need to create another one. You just need to log in. I expect you to log in using one of your email addresses associated to either a social media or Gmail. So now this is my trailer. This is where you learn your, whatever I'm teaching you today is from this trail and trail mystics, okay? And I can easily go to my hands-on hogs and launch my Black Force training. So when I launch my Black Force training, I am opening an application called Sales App. This is an application called Sales App. We can switch to different applications by going to these 9 dots and switch to service, marketing, and the likes. Okay? By the end of this section or of this module, we should be able to create our own app. So we can make our default app some business app, okay? And we're going to create our objects. So according to Salesforce, when you create a new or a brand new hub, you are given some objects by default. The objects you're given are called standard objects. For instance, when I launched my hands-on hub, I came to an application called Sales App, and by default, I have opportunities in my tab. I have leads, I have tasks, I have accounts, I have contacts, I have campaigns, and the likes. Some of these objects, you might not see them in your object manager, while some of them can be hidden on this tab. Today, I'm going to show you how to bring those objects back on these tabs in case you do not see them. So let's start with the basics of objects. When you get into a new Salesforce org, you get to see these objects. These are the standard objects. What are standard objects? Standard objects are objects that comes by default with any Salesforce org. Okay, so the standard object comes as default. They're out of the box. You don't need to create them, and you don't need to configure them. In addition to the standard objects that you see, we have what we call standard fields. As you can see, I told you about field of account name, account site, billing state, phone type. All these are standard fields, meaning that when you have a standard object, you also have standard fields. You cannot delete a standard object, and you cannot delete a standard fields. So all this account owner, rating, phone, website, they are standard fields. And this account object is a standard object. You cannot delete it. How do you get to see information about a standard object? You go to your setup and you go to the object manager. The object manager gives you information about all the standard objects you have in Salesforce. As you can see the type of the object called standard objects, and you can see the API name. The API name is given by default when you have an object. When you create a custom object, the API name would be somewhat different. I'm going to show you how the API name would look like when it's a custom object. But for now, remember, when you go to your object manager, you can see all the objects that has been created by default in Salesforce. We have about 103 objects. Now, when you have these objects, chances are you might want to collect other information that does not necessarily belong to an account object. You might want to collect information that does not belong to a contact object. How do you do that? You would need to create a custom object. A custom object is used to store information that a standard object cannot store. What do I mean by that? Every time you store records into an object, you need to logically store that record, right? You don't just store revenue details in an account object. It doesn't make sense, right? You don't store order detail in a contact object. It doesn't make sense. You have to make sure the objects which you're storing information inside makes sense. And how do you do that? You create a custom object. So if I want to store an information called revenue details, or I want to store revenue information, since I do not have any object out of the box I can use to store revenue details, I will use what Salesforce refers to as custom objects. How do you create a custom object? You go to the object manager and you click on create custom objects. Object manager to your right, you click on create and you get to the new custom object creation. So for this, I just want to make an example, revenue objects. And it's going to ask you, what is the plural name for revenue? The plural name for revenue, I'm guessing is revenue. There's nothing like revenues, but anyway, I'll just keep it that way. Then it's going to ask you if this is a vowel sound, meaning that, does it start with A, E, I, E, O, U or not? If it's a vowel sound, you check this box. The reason why Salesforce is asking you this is because if you have a record and Salesforce wants to say something about that record, For instance, if you have an employee object, Salesforce would want to say something like an employee data. Okay, so they want to be able to know if they should say an employee data or a employee data. Obviously, an employee data will sound better, and that's why they are asking you for this. It's optional, meaning that you don't have to check it. However, it's recommended if you're building an object for an enterprise, you're supposed to present it professionally. The label is compulsory, is required. The plural label is also required. Anytime you see the red sign at the beginning of any field, know that that field is required when creating the object or when creating whatever record you need to create. Similarly to the objects, when you're creating anything, you would see some red asterisks at the front of the field. It means it is a required information. Without it, you cannot create that record, okay? Let me go back to creation of new objects. We have the new objects, and we have what we call a record name, meaning that this is just one field that is required, at least one field that is required for that object. Because think about it, when you create a record and you don't have a field in that record, the information, what information would you like to store in a record that has no field? It cannot contain any data, right? So Salesforce is asking you, what would be the primary field which will be used as the index for this object? By default, it comes as name. Then you can either determine that field to be an auto number or a text field. If it's a text field, then you have to always enter data manually into that field. If it's an auto number field, then you do not necessarily have to enter data into that field. The auto number would be generated anytime a field, a data is being created for that custom object. For this example, I will show you one without auto number and one with an auto number. Now, when you scroll down a little bit, you will see these options. Allow reports, meaning that can someone create a report on this object? When we get to data and reports, you will see how to create reports. This is a report object. If you click on new reports, you'll be asked to select an object which you want to create a report on. So if you haven't selected allow reports, you will not be able to create a report on that object. In future, when I give you your project, you'll be required to create reports. Always remember, if you do not select this, you will not be able to create a report on this object. Allow activities. When you go to the front end, you will see some activities that were done on an object. So activities are just like you're creating a log, you're creating a new task, and the likes. So if you do not select allow activities, you will not see that option on this object. Track field history. Track field history is enabled to track the changes you are making on some of these fields. So for instance, if you're tracking the revenue of a particular account and you want to see how revenue has changed over time, if you select track field history, you'll be able to track annual revenue. But if you do not select track field history, you will not see the option to track annual revenue. I'm going to show you a sample of that shortly. Allow search. Allow search essentially allows it in the search box. If you do not select allow search, the object will not be searchable in the search box. Okay? As you can see, I can search based on account, campaign cases, and the likes. And if I do not select it, I will not be able to search it. Okay, so I save. The first one is I'm creating without auto number. So I'm going to create another one with auto number. Okay, so I'll call this one, I'll call this order, or let me call it employee. Okay, then this should be employees. I don't know. I'm going to select vowel sound. Okay, then instead of test, I'm going to use auto number. Then I'm going to give the format of the auto number. Remember, the format is not compulsory, but is necessary for you to differentiate how employee format will be. For instance, some people want to put EMP, indicating is an employee, then it's going to start at 1. So the first record will be EMP-0001. The second record will be EMP-0002. Okay, so it's up to you how you want to format the auto number. But the bottom line is, if it was test, you have to enter something when creating the record. But if it was auto number, this will be automatically created for you. I'm going to save. Now that we have 2 custom objects, remember, custom objects are created by the administrator to meet a specific use case. For example, revenue that we've just created is to collect revenue information. The employee that we've just created is to collect employees' information. So if you create a custom object, you would see that there will be a difference between the type changing from standard to custom. The employee object we just created is a custom object, and you can tell when it was created. In addition to that, you will see an underscore, double underscore, and a C. The double underscore and a C represent the API name, which indicates that it is a custom object. It is very important to know the difference between a custom object and a standard object. So I'm just going to go back to our front end and explain some of the standard objects that we have. The first one is the account object. The account object can be created in Salesforce. The account can be used in Salesforce to store information about the companies and individual. As you can see, if my business is to get or is to transact with different B2Bs, like if I'm a B2B business, I would want to store information of my companies or business partners or people I relate with in my account objects. So the account is used to store company information. Contact objects. The contact object is used to represent an individual associated with an account. So let me give you an example. If I create an example called Shell, okay, or I call RBC, right? Then I give some details about RBC and everything. Fine, save. To go to the contacts for RBC, you can create contacts within the account. So you go to the account and you create contacts. So the contacts represent individuals, or I would say employees, or I would say some contacts for RBC. So if you're working with RBC, you have RBC as an account, then people that you know in RBC would be contacts. Meaning that if I want to reach out to someone in RBC, I will save it or as a contact in my RBC account. This is how you organize people and businesses in Salesforce. You don't create another contact and call it RBC. No, you create an account called RBC and you put people inside contacts, people working for RBC inside contacts. Leads. Lead is used to store prospects. A prospect is someone that is interested in your products. A prospect is someone that you're likely to reach out to in future for a campaign or for marketing or whatever it is. I'll give an example. When you get to BlackForce website, the first thing you do is you visit the website and you go into the website. When you go into the website, you have the option to register. By registering, you get into a website whereby you can sign up for an account. But you can also, I think you can also register. And when you register, you get a confirmation email. That confirmation email is storing some information in our database. The confirmation email does not mean you are automatically registered for a program. It is until when we're ready to start the new cohort, you received an email from us. When it comes to Salesforce, the initial registration you made should be stored in a lead object. Lead is a prospective customer, is a prospect. It's not yet a customer. They are not ready for the cohort. They haven't enrolled. They haven't done anything. They are just leads. They are people you can reach out to. However, when you create a lead, you have different stages which you can have in a lead. For instance, the first stage is you've opened up the lead, but you haven't contacted the lead, meaning that you haven't sent out an email to the lead and the lead has not replied or engaged you. The first stage is open, not contacted. When you send out an email to a lead, and the lead responded to your email, it becomes a working contacted. The use case for this is when you register on BlackForce, it goes to open, not contacted. However, when we sent you an email and requested that you register for our open day, you're converted into working contacted. After that, after the open day, we introduce what we call a subscription for those that might be interested in our mentorship. Then, once you show indication that you're interested in the mentorship, you become either converted because you've shown indication and you've paid, or not converted because after the open day, you've decided not to become a member. So the lead has a path. In Salesforce, this is what they call a path. The path shows guides on where the current stage of the lead is. This is not the only object that has a path. Some other objects also have a path, and you can also create your own custom paths. We're going to get there in maybe in subsequent sessions. But for now, just focus on the fact that we have a lead, and the lead is used to store prospective customers. Now we go to campaigns. What are campaigns? Campaigns are used to store information about a marketing effort. For instance, when we sent out email to you, the email was sent through campaigns, meaning that I can create a new campaign for a certain activity which I would like to sell. Okay? And after creating that campaign, I can send it to members. Right now, I cannot see the new button in my campaign. This is because the user which I have does not have a feature license for campaign. And the feature license that is required to be able to create campaign is called marketing user feature license. So I'll just quickly go to my user profile and do that. Users, then I'll edit the user which I'm currently having, and I'll select marketing user. This has nothing to do with what we're teaching today, but it's just for me to be able to create a campaign, okay? So going back, as you can see, there is no new year. Going back, I refresh this. The new appear, meaning that I now have the license to create a campaign. As you can see, everything we've learned in the previous days is connecting to the future sessions. So you cannot afford to miss all those classes. I have the new button and I can create a campaign. And I can make it active and I can put all these details for my campaign. Once I create a campaign, then I can actually send this campaign to a group of people. So the group of people I can send the campaign to are campaign members. Campaign members are essentially leads, which are the people that they are prospective people that needs to be converted, or contacts, which are just people that are already in the business, okay? The campaign is used to manage your campaign, find out who is converted and who is not converted, okay? So going back to the leads, I told you that when you convert a lead, they become a customer. A customer is someone that has an account and someone that has a contact. When you convert a lead, you get a box that shows you whether this lead can be converted into an account and a contact, or you can convert them into an existing account and a contact. You also have the liberty of putting an opportunity. You don't have to put it there. If you don't need it, you can take it off, but you have that liberty to put or create an opportunity. So remember, when you convert a lead, you create an account and a contact. The opportunity is optional, but you can also create opportunity. So this is an exam question. What happens when you convert a lead? You get an account and a contact. You convert a lead into an account and a contact. Salesforce also has cases. What are cases objects? Cases objects are used to store customer questions, feedback, and issues. If you're working for a telecommunications company, chances are you will receive a lot of calls about bills and phone data and the likes. This is how you can manage customer complaints. In Salesforce, you have objects that has been designed to solve certain problems faced in the industry. As you can see, we have a lead used for marketing. We have the campaign used for sending out emails. We have the cases used for managing complaints. As you can see, when you create a new lead, you have the status of the lead. You have the priority of the lead. You have the date it was open. And if it was closed, you can have the date it was closed as well. So if you're creating a new lead, you can associate it to an account. You can associate the lead to an account, okay? So a lead can belong to an account. Same with contact. Contact is associated to an account. An account is just by itself. A lead, when you convert a lead, you convert them into an account and a contact. In addition, we have the standard object called opportunities. Opportunities are used to create a deal. What do I mean by that? For instance, if you're working in a very busy sales and marketing department, or you're trying to sell a package for a prospective customer. The opportunity is what you use to track the engagement with that customer. So what do I mean by that? You create an opportunity and you select prospecting, which is the first stage of that opportunity. And you can go into different stages based on your business process. For instance, this is a typical business process for selling a package, a deal to a prospective client. The first thing you do is you create the opportunity, then you put it as prospecting. That means you're engaging the client. You've already talked to the client and the client showed interest. If the client showed interest, you can move on to qualification. You do analysis to find out if the client is qualified to buy the package you want to sell to them. Then you can go into needs analysis. You can go into value proposition. You can go into so many stages. This is Salesforce standard default paths for opportunities. Remember, you can change all this. I will show you how to change this. You can change all this. You can remove, you can add. The bottom line is when you launch your new Salesforce org, you have standard objects Salesforce has created to help you to manage the business. Now, if you've decided not to use Salesforce standard objects, that's when you start creating your own. You create your own using the custom objects. Remember, the custom object is used when you cannot, I repeat, when you cannot find any objects that can be used to address the situation. As you can see, I have opportunities to do my opportunities. I have my lead to store my prospective customer. I have my account to store my client accounts. I have my contacts to store information of my client account's contacts. I have my campaign to create campaign and send email out to my contacts or leads. I have my cases to track my customer issue. There is also so many other objects out of the box. Orders, if you made orders, you can track them. So now, after you've created let's go to a typical standard object. This is the account standard object. If I go to the front end.
Can you please zoom in your screen, please? Thank you.
This is the max zoom. If I go to the front end of the account and I open the details of this account object, okay? This is the details of this account object. In the back end, the fields and relationships is where you can create a new field. For instance, maybe in your business, they've requested you collect specific region for this account. By default, Salesforce do not have the region field on the account object. How would you be able to collect that field? You would create what we call a custom field. You will create what we call a custom field. New custom field is what you get to create. There are different ways, there are different data type you can use to represent a custom field. The first one is auto number. I explained what auto number means when I was creating objects. Auto number essentially would automatically create a new number every time a record is created in the account object. So if you want to create a unique number, every time you create an account record, then you use an auto number. So I will just create an example of an auto number for you right now. I'll just call it random, I'll just call it account ID. Okay, account ID, and the starting number should be 1. And I have the option of choosing a display format, meaning I can say ACC ID or something like that, okay? Then I know that is an account ID. I click on Next. I select the visibility. Remember, the visibility determines whether it is visible in the details section or not. I click on visibility, then I can determine the visibility based on the profile. Meaning that if I want to stop anyone from the accounting department from seeing the account ID, all I just need to do is take it off. And anyone that has a profile called accounting department will not be able to see the account ID. Next, the next page is called layout. Remember, the first one is establish the field level security. Who can see this field? The next one is layout. I'm going to talk about page layout next, but page layout determines the type of layout you can give to different profiles, meaning that accounting department can have a different profile, a different layout compared to an admin person, compared to a sales profile, compared to a marketing profile. You have the liberty to customize the profile, the layout for each profile. We're going to get to layout shortly, but let me complete this process. So now I've created account ID, which is an auto number. If I go to my page layout, I go to the account layout, which is the account layout, which is the layout assigned to the system admin. You will see a bunch of items. One thing you should just focus on is the detail side. The detail side is the same thing as this detail side. You need to focus on it and determine what fields you want to show. As you can see, we have the account owner. We have the account name. We have the parent account number, parent account number. So everything you see in the detail side is as a result of the page layout. So this is account ID, which I included. The new field I included. If I refresh this page, I don't expect the account, where's the account ID? Just give me, I need to create a new record. Click on new, and I just say ExxonMobil. Okay, so this is an ExxonMobil account, and account number, I'll just put random stuff there. Then I click on save. So when I click on save, as you can see, the account ID automatically comes up. This field you cannot edit. Why? Because it's an auto number data type. Auto number data type, you cannot edit it. It's automatically generated. If you do not want to have the auto number ID, generated ID, you can take it off. Just click on remove. And if you want to bring it back, go to fields and drag it back to the layout. That's how you take off item from this layout. If you don't like facts, website, ticker symbol, just drag it away from the layout and everything will be taken off. I save this. And if I refresh this page, okay, if I refresh this page, all the items I dragged away would be gone. This is how you customize your page layout. This is how you customize what people can see on the front end. You do it from the back end. Now, I showed you the account page layout, which is assigned to the system admin. What if I want to assign a different page layout to accounting profile? I do that by selecting page layout and determine who I want to assign different page layout to. Right now, accounting department is using account layout. If I don't want the accounting department to use account layout, I edit this assignment and I select this accounting department. I change the page layout to support layout. So I save, and accounting department profile will be using the account support layout. If I go back to my page layout, I go to the account support layout, and I want to make sure that the account support layout has a different item compared to the account layout which was assigned to the system admin. Again, you can see if the account layout is assigned to the system admin by going to the system admin profile, and you see it was assigned to account layout was assigned to the system admin, and account support layout was assigned to accounting department. What I can do right now is log in as an accounting, as our test user to see this in operation. I go to my user and I copy the username for our test user. Then I go back. Okay, I need to, just 1 minute. I need to get the URL. This is the URL, okay? So he's asking for a code. Let me quickly check my email and get the code out, and I'll paste it there. Just give me 1 minute. So I got the code from my email. Sorry, the code is 252142. Verify. So now I've logged in as the test user that is using the support layout. So now I go to the account object. I click on any account, and you can see that the test user that is using the support layout can see different fields. The test user that is assigned to the support profile can see different fields, whereas the admin can see different fields. This is how you control what people can see based on page layouts and the profile. So the profile is the page layout is determined based on the profile. You can manipulate things based on profiles. Okay, so going back to what we were doing, custom objects, custom fields called account ID. Okay, we created a custom field called account ID. Let's go back into different types of fields. We have a formula field. A formula field is just for you to create a formula field, technically. So what does that mean? It means you can concatenate two fields together to get a unique data. So if you have an account, for instance, you have an account name called ExxonMobil, and you have an account number called 8456 whatever. You can create a new field called account name, account number, or you can call it unique account name. Okay? You can call it unique account name. Then you can call it unique account name and you create a formula. Remember, the formula could be anything from checkbox, currency, date, date time, percent, and the likes. But I've chosen text just to ease the process. You go to advanced formula field, or you can just use a simple formula field. Simple formula field is just you selecting the account object, which is of interest. You select the name, then you can now say insert operator, concatenate, then you select the account number. Then that's it, okay? But if you go to advanced formula field, it's still the same process. It's just that you can insert fields and you get this pop-up and you can select whatever you want, okay? There's not much difference besides the fact that advanced formula field just give you better options and the likes, okay? You can have multiply, you can have add, but obviously you need to make sure that is a number before you can select add. You need to make sure that is an integer or something like that before you can do certain things, okay? So it just gives you that ability to manipulate an existing field. The formula field, you can also write if-else statements. If logic is true, if it's true, and if it's false. Okay? If you want to learn how to use Salesforce formula, you can go on the website and type Salesforce formula. And it's going to give you different ways which you can use Salesforce formula. So remember, as an admin, you won't be writing formulas. Occasionally, you might be required to write one or two formulas, but that would just be the max formula you can write. Your job is to create admin processes, so you wouldn't be overwhelmed with certain formulas. However, if you want to write formula, there's always a code you can easily use. Okay? So for instance, you can say, I want to find out the dates which it was created. If I want to find out, let me give you a typical example of what a formula would be. I'll call it due dates, meaning that I want to find out the due dates of a particular account. Obviously, this is just hypothetical, right? I select a date. Why did I select a date? Because it is due dates. Next, then I insert a date field. A typical date field could be created dates, then plus 7 days. So I'm saying this account is due 7 days after it has been created. That's how you create a formula field. Don't overwhelm yourself with a formula field, but just have that at the back of your mind that you can create a formula field. You can create anything you want. You have the liberty to create anything you want. This is where you start building models, okay? And is a due date? Did I bring the due date to the page layout? Let me find it, due date. Let me go to the page layout to find out if I have a due date. Okay, I'll go to fields. Let me just see due date is there. Due date is there, fine. Now I'll go to page layout, go to account layout, find out due dates. Is that due date there? Where's due date? Due date is here after account ID. Then you can just look for due date after account ID in a new record you just created, okay? This is the due date. Can you see the due date is now 11/11/21, and today is 3. That's 3 plus, I think today is 3 or 4, I don't know, 3 plus 7, but it's 11/11/21, meaning that it's plus 7, okay? Created date plus 7 days, plus 7 days. That's how you create a formula field. Let's go to another field before we go to the main type of field that leads to relationship. You have so many fields: date field, date time field, email field. If you want to collect an email address information, you call it email field, right? And you click on email, you can say account email. But remember, you don't have to create all these fields because some of these fields probably exist in the account objects. So always check if there is a reason for you to create this field or not. So if there is no email, then you can create email field, okay? So now, there's another field which is called pick list. Pick list is unique in a way because you have the liberty to select data. So what are pick list fields? Pick list fields are fields that gives you the option to select predefined data. Predefined data helps you minimize errors in the system, meaning that you can ensure that the data that is coming into the system is clean, and it is the type of data you are expecting. So now, if I go to the account and I create, I'll call this pick list country. I'll call it account country. Then I will say, you have the option to select global pick list value sets. Global pick list value sets are pick lists that has already predefined in the system. So all you just need to do is select it and use it. However, if you don't have a global pick list value, you're going to select enter values. Then I can now say Canada, USA, and United Kingdom. Okay, so now that I have that, I click on next. I click on next and I save. Remember, I have assigned this pick list to a profile for system admin, but not accounting department. So if you go to the accounting department profile, you would not see this pick list. Now that we've created account country, which is a pick list, we can see it in the front end. Anytime we try to create account country, where is it? Again, I need to refresh this page so it kicks in. And you can always check your page layout to ensure that the pick list is the field is coming up. Okay, so this is a pick list. I did not use a global set, okay? But let me use a global set pick list. To go to the global value set pick list, you go to the Home tab and you type in pick list. So you select the pick list value set and you type in a global pick list. I can call it accounts. No, I can call it cities. Okay, cities. The reason why I don't want to put account city is because the global value pick list is technically a pick list that you can use across multiple objects. You don't necessarily have to restrict it to a particular object, meaning after using it for my account, I can go to opportunities and still use it. I can go to cases and still use it. And I can go to any custom object that I create and still use it. So I will call this New York. I will call London. Then I will say Toronto. Okay? And I save. So now that I have a global value set pick list, I can go back to my object manager and create another field called city. But remember, the global value set is created somewhere else. Now I'm creating a dedicated account city pick list. Then I call it account city. Can you see the difference between creating a global value set pick list, which is a pick list I want to use within the account field? So meaning that if I have another custom object or a standard object, I can just pull the same city for my pick list. I don't need to rewrite everything all the time again. That's just the advantage. Now I click on next. I click on next and I save. Now that I have two fields, the first one is country and the second one is account city. So I've just clicked on the account city. If I refresh this page, I'll be able to see my two pick lists. Oh, okay. You have to probably refresh twice to see it, but eventually it will come, okay? Just make sure you take your time and you don't rush. And if you want to confirm that, you just go to your page layout. Your page layout tells you whether the field is here. So as long as the field is here, you can preview it with a system admin. How would a system admin see this? Then you can now see that the system admin will be able to see the city. Okay? Can you see? So definitely it's there. It's just a case of caching. So I'll just make sure I refresh this. Then I can enter this. It's still caching, but don't let us stress it. It's going to come. Okay. Okay, that's it. Can you see? It's there. Okay. So if I select Canada and I can select city, Salesforce has what they call dependent pick list. The difference between a normal pick list and a dependent pick list is I can control what comes up if I select Canada. For instance, if I select USA, the expectations are I should not be seeing London and Toronto in USA. Why? Because they are not cities based in USA, right? So if I select Canada, I should be seeing Toronto, not New York and London. You can control this using dependencies. This is what they call field dependencies. In Salesforce, field dependencies can be created for a pick list. There are two types of dependencies. The first one is called controlling, and the second one is called dependent. Controlling and dependent. So I can select the controlling field to be account country and the controlling field to be account country. Dependent is account city, meaning when I select the country, I want the options that appear to be based on my selection of country. You cannot put a standard field as a dependent field of a custom controlling field. You cannot put a standard field as a dependent of controlling field. What do I mean by that? The standard field cannot be here. The standard field has to be here. The standard field has to be controlling. Also, you cannot make a multi-select a controlling field. What's a multi-select pick list? A multi-select pick list is when you select more than one pick list. You can try that in your spare time. So now, once I create the field dependencies, I can now select. When the selection is Canada, the only option that should appear is Toronto. Include values. If the selection is USA, the only option that should appear is New York. If the selection include values. If the selection is United Kingdom, the only option that should appear is London. Include values. Then you save. Now that you've created dependency, you would be able to see the controlling field for that field. This is how you build clean data in the system. So I'm going to refresh this page. When I refresh this page, I should be able to see those changes. Sometimes it can take a while, but I should be able to see it, okay? So let's, yeah, it's just taking a while to kick in. I can log out and log in so I can see it, okay? So I'm just gonna log out and log in for a minute. So if that would work and make it faster. I go to my account objects. I go to new. It's still not kicking in. Okay, I think this works. So we have Canada. As you can see, the city is not, you cannot select anything for the city right now, but we have Canada. Once we have Canada, the only options that come up is Toronto. If we have USA, the only option that should come up is New York. And if we have United Kingdom, the only option that should come up is London. This is how you clean up data with fields using pick list. Now, you've learned so much about data custom objects and standard objects, and you've learned about standard fields and custom fields. Now, how do you make sense out of the objects? How do you make sense out of the objects? You have these accounts, and once you click this account, you have contacts, you have opportunities. These are what Salesforce refers to as relationship, meaning if I have an account object, I can see contacts, I can see opportunities, I can see cases for this account object. For me to create that kind of relationship, I need to be able to select a type of relationship I want. That's why this is called fields and relationship. It's called fields and relationship. So when you're creating the field, you can select a type of relationship. As you can see, we have lookup. There is another type of relationship which is called the master detail relationship. For me to demonstrate that, I need to go to a custom object that I created previously. Then I go to new, I can see the master detail relationship. Now, let me explain this. When I was in the account object, I could not see the master detail relationship. The reason why I couldn't see the master detail relationship is because the account is a standard object. You cannot create a master detail relationship from the standard objects. You have to use a custom object to create a master detail relationship for a standard object. With a custom object, you have the flexibility. But if a relationship is a master detail relationship, then you have to be on the custom side, meaning you can create a master detail relationship between a custom object and a custom object. You can create a master detail relationship between a standard object and a custom object, but you cannot put the standard object on the child side. So what do I mean by that?
Babatope,
yes.
Sorry, please, could you just zoom in a bit? I can barely see what's on your screen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So when we talk about relationship, this is the master relationship, master detail relationship. We have the account, and inside the account, I can see contacts and I can see opportunities. That's the child, the children, okay? Going back to this field, if I want to create a master detail relationship, meaning that the account and under the account, I can see the children, I can see contacts, I can see opportunities. They are the child, and the type of relationship is called master detail. A very good example of a master detail relationship is student and exam records. Students and exam records. What do I mean by that? Let's start. Let's start this relationship. But before I start, I want to do something. Just give me 1 minute. I just want to check something. Okay, so now, if you have a student, I'm going to create an object called students. Students, okay? And I'm going to allow track and stuff like that. That's fine. Then I save. Then I can create exam records. Okay, and I select this as well. It's not compulsory, but I selected it and I save. Okay. The kind of relationship between a student and exam records is master details, meaning that without the student, you cannot have an exam records. Exam records belongs to a student. How can you visualize this? Salesforce has a tool called Schema Builder. The Schema Builder enables you see a visualization of a master detail and a lookup relationship. So I'm going to clear this and I'm going to type in students and I'm going to bring it to view. Then I'll type in exam records. I'll bring it to view. I haven't created a relationship yet, but I just want to show you. This is an object, and this is an object. Presently, they are independent, meaning I can have a student and I can have an exam record. But logically, is it possible to have an exam record without a student? No. We cannot have an exam record without a student. So in order to build a model, we need to relate the student with the exam record. The kind of relationship we can create between a student and an exam record is a master detail relationship. I'm going to take a pause there, and I'm going to go to account, and I'm going to go to what other, let me see, case. Case is not a perfect one to use because they are all standard objects. So let me do something. Let me create another object called department. Okay, I'm going to create another object called department. Object, create object, department, okay? Save. Now I'm going to clear this, clear all. So we have students. I can bring department into view right now. The reason why I want to show you this relationship is this. I want to tell you something. You've been asked to store the student information, and you've been asked to store the exam record information for the students. The kind of relationship you create for students and exam record is master detail relationship. A master detail relationship is a type of relationship that is closely related, meaning if you delete the master, you are going to automatically delete the exam record. If you delete the master, you automatically delete the exam record. They are closely related. Without the master, the detail cannot be available. However, a lookup relationship is a type of relationship that is loosely connected. By loosely, I mean I can have the student, and it is possible for a student not to have a department. It is possible for me to have a student record without a department. The type of relationship you select is a lookup relationship. Now let's connect these three together and see how it looks like visually. I go back to my objects. I go to exam record, and I'm going to create a new field called student score. What type of field should I select for the score? I want to select a percentage. A percentage meaning I want to grade the students. I'll call it student score. And I expect it to be a two decimal digits because it's like 75.5%, 69.8%, and the likes, okay? So I can just say this is 16. They have to be 18 in total, okay? Next. Save. So now I have a student score. How do I relate exam record to students? I create new, and I select master detail relationship. The master detail relationship, like I mentioned earlier, ensures that you cannot create an exam record without a student. So first of all, let's see how it looks like right now in the front end. Okay, one thing I should have shown you is these items on these tabs can be customized, meaning you can decide to take off the items you do not need. You can decide to take off the items you do not need. For instance, there's a pen beside this tab. And if you click on that pen, you will see that you can take off certain items on the tab. Some items comes by default because of the application. The only thing you can do is rearrange those items. However, if you want to add more objects, especially your custom objects, you click on add more items and go to all, then you can see all the objects which is in your system. Then you can add them. That's the first way to ensure that your custom objects can appear on these tabs. But before you can even add your custom objects on this tab, you need to make sure that they are available in the tabs. How do you do that? You go to tabs. When you click on tabs, you will see custom object tabs. So every time you create a new custom object, you should add the custom object into the custom object tabs. If you do not add the custom objects into the custom object tabs, you will not be able to see them in the option to add more items on the tab. As you can see, if I type in students, I will not see any students. If I type in exam records, I will not see any exam records. However, if I add them to my tabs, I will be able to see them the next time I refresh the page. You can select the visibility of this tab. So if you want to make it default on, you can leave it as default on for all the profiles. But if you want to make individual profile, you can select the visibility of this profile. But for now, I can make it default on for all the profiles. So any profile that any user that logs in would be able to see that tab. I click on next, I click on save. Then I would create a new one and select exam records. The exam record, this color is just for Salesforce developers. You don't have to understand why you're selecting the colors, but for developers, you see the impact, okay? And I save. So now that I have added these tabs on my custom object tabs, if I go back to my home page, if I refresh this, and I go to this, I should be able to see the student records and exam records. If they do not appear by default, you can go to add more items, go to all, and add them. But remember, when I was selecting those tabs, I click on default on. That's why I was able to see those tabs. So if I click on another tab, for instance, revenue, okay, and I select a color for revenue, I go to next. This stuff is what determines whether revenue would automatically appear in the tab without having to add it. Can you see students automatically appear? Exam record automatically appear. If I say default on, they will automatically appear on the tab. If I say default off, they will not come up automatically. However, you can add it. So I will start with default off. Then I save this. Remember, this is the revenue object, okay? Now, if I refresh this page, I don't expect it to automatically appear just like the student and exam records. However, if I go to the edit pen icon, I don't see it here, okay? I click on add more. I go to all, then I look for revenue. Then I click on add, then add. It will appear, but you have the option to take it off. So the settings you give while adding the custom object to the tabs determine what options you can do for those objects on the tabs. And I save. So now revenue will now appear on the tab. Again, you can bring revenue, students, and everything to the front of this tab. How do you do that? You drag it. You drag it to the top. Okay? You drag it to the top, and they will automatically appear there. So now they are at the top of this. So now let's go back to what we were doing. I wanted to create a relationship. Remember, I wanted to create a relationship, master detail relationship between the student and the exam records. I click on next. I'm saying this is related to students. I click on next, and 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 I save. Now, if I refresh my schema builder, you would see the type of relationship between student and exam records. Can you see? You can see the relationship. The relationship is master detail, meaning that the student is the master and the exam record is the detail. That means one student can have many exam records: biology, chemistry, physics, math, and the likes. But if I delete the student, all the exam records for that student will be gone. That is a type of relationship called master detail relationship. However, for departments, I said the student can exist in the system without necessarily belonging to any department. I can choose to have that. The type of relationship you create for this is called a lookup. A lookup relationship is not closely connected. A lookup relationship exists without a master. It's independent of the master. So now, if I go back and I go to department objects, I go to fields and relationships, and I go to new. I call it a lookup relationship. I select departments, and I click on next, and I click on next, 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 and I save. If I refresh my schema builder, you would see the type of relationship between, while I was in my department, did I select student? No, I was selecting.
Related to student.
No,
you selected department.
Yeah, I should have selected student, sorry. So I'll just delete it. Okay. It's meant to be student, not department. That doesn't make sense. Department. So I'm selecting lookup relationship. I'm going to select students. Next. Save. So if I refresh my schema builder, it should show me the relationship between students and departments, meaning the students can exist without the department. The blue stuff indicates lookup. As you can see here, the blue line indicates lookup. The red line indicates master detail relationship. So what does that mean? Before I demonstrate this to you, I'm going to delete this again. Bear with me. I want to show you something, so I need to delete it again. I'm going to delete this. That's number one. Then I'm going to go to exam records and delete that relationship. I want to show you before and after, okay? Delete that relationship. So I have student score in exam record, and let me go to departments. I'm going to have department name, okay? I think there's already a name field, so no worries. So I go to my front end, I refresh. I want to bring departments to view. I go to home, I go to tabs, I go to new, I had department, I select a team for departments, next, save. So now I have department in view. I can now refresh. I should be able to see my department, okay? But I want to bring it to the top side. I drag it to the top side, okay? I drag it here, so it's coming after exam records. So now I have department. So the first thing I want to do is create a department. When I'm creating a department, I just call it engineering accounting department, okay? No, engineering department. Yeah, I prefer engineering. Save. Now that we have the engineering department, I want to create exam record. I just say exam record name, mathematics, or I'll just say chemistry score. Okay, I'll just say 95.5 or something like that. Save. Okay, now I go to students. I create a student name and I save. Can you see that when I'm creating all these records, I did not face any restrictions? It enables me to create anything without any form of restrictions. That's because I do not have any relationship in place and there is no requirement for me to select anything compulsorily. However, once we bring the relationship back, which I'm about to do right now, I want to create a master detail relationship between exam record and students. Master detail relationship, students, then I go to department. I'm creating a lookup relationship to students. So now I have two relationships as initially designed, okay? So now let's go back and try to create a student. I'm gonna create a new student. I don't expect any issue for now. Okay, now I need to create an exam record. Let me refresh this. Okay, chemistry record, score, save. It's telling me I cannot create this record without associating it to a student. This is where the relationship comes into place. Who owns this record? A student owns this record. Who is that student? The student name you've selected owns this record. That's how I was able to associate a student to an exam record, chemistry. So if you create another exam record, physics, score 85, you can see all the records of that student, okay? You can see all the records of that student in the exam records related session. Whereas for the departments, which I previously created, I don't necessarily have to select a department. So let me say new department. I'll call it accounting. Even though the student is coming up, I don't have to put it there. I don't have to put it there. And I can actually put the department on the student form as well. So all I just need to do is go to student and create a lookup relationship for the department. Departments. And anytime I'm creating a student, I can actually associate a department, but it's not going to be compulsory for me to select that department. So if I go back to students, I can create another. Then I select a department, but I can choose not to select a department, okay? I can choose not to select a department if I don't want to. That's the relationship for you. So I know I've introduced a lot of items for you guys tonight. It can be very overwhelming, but this is what it means to be a Salesforce consultant. You need to be able to formulate a model, and you need to be able to create a relationship between those objects. Chances are you will never be given the object you want, or you will be asked to create an object that is not out of the box. This is how you create that object. So I'm going to take a pause there and open the forum for you guys to ask questions. But please raise up your hands so I can answer them accordingly to how you guys raise up your hands, okay? So I'm going to call you guys. I know you have a lot of questions, so please bear with me while I try to answer as much as possible. I'm going to start with Otmanero. Otmanero, please.
Otman. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
My question is, when you wanted to log in as a user, you used a different URL. So why is that? And how did you get the password?
Okay, can you please go to my day 1, day 2, day 3 videos and check that, okay? The reason why I use a different URL is because you are logging into Salesforce hands-on org. And there is a special URL based on the org URL. So you cannot just log in. I don't know how else you want me to log in, but I couldn't just log in directly. I have to get the URL of this hands-on org and use that. How did I get a password? I created a user and I reset the password for that user, and I just, normal process of getting a user password. Okay? So it wasn't a difficult task.
Yeah, so this is exactly my question. So if let's say, for example, you created a profile for a user and you've given the credentials, like when you created it, you have the email.
I'm really sorry. Please watch the previous videos on user setup. This is not what I taught today. Okay, I'm really sorry. There's so many people that want to ask questions regarding what I taught today. Let's focus on that, please. Okay?
Okay.
Thanks. Help, please.
Hi, good evening. So my question is, thank you for today. My question is, when you were creating the new fields, for example, the account ID, I noticed that when you refresh the URL, you create new accounts to see the new field. So my question is, does that reflect on, so do you have to do a historical update for already existing accounts, or would that reflect automatically for old or historical accounts?
That's a good question. So when you create a new field, typically old data do not have that, like because they were not instantly created. But however, I think if you edit this and you save, I think it should be able to generate a new ID for it. Let's see. Because old data, it's old data, it's gone. Until you create a new instance, that's when it kicks in. So if you look at this, it's not coming up, right? But if you create a new account record, it should come up because now it's going forward. Old data would not reflect. It's new data that you start using for that field. Unless you have a default field or something like that. Even if you have a default field, default value for that field, it will still not reflect. It has to be new records that are being created, okay?
So how do you then catch up the old one? So for example, I'm an admin, right? I'm just giving an example. And we've had thousands of records, right? Then maybe later on, the CEO decides that we need to track another field. What will now happen to the old data?
Yes. So when we get to data management, you will learn how to update data using different tools. One of the tools is data import wizard, whereby you can import data into the system. How do you get data to import? The first thing is you export that data using reports. Okay? You generate all those old data, export it. Okay. After that, then you import it after. When you import the new data, everything you're creating would automatically create. Okay. So like the new account ID would automatically populate because now they assume new data, or you can actually update them with a particular data you want them to be.
Okay. Makes sense.
So when we get there, we'll talk about it. There's still a lot to learn. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Ogalit, please.
Hi, Dr. Thanks so much for the lectures today so far and for the previous one. My question is around the lead conversion. Lead conversion usually is from lead to account, contact, and optionally to opportunity. If I have, let's say, a custom object or a custom feed, and I need information that is converted from that lead to appear on that custom object or feed, how do I go about it?
So you have a custom field?
Yes. And I needed information that maybe that is converted from the lead. So, how do I see in that custom field?
So if you go to the lead object, I think if you go to field and relationship, okay, you go to map lead fields, okay? Then you can map the fields from leads to account fields. Go to opportunity, map the leads from fields to contact fields. Sorry, go to contacts, go to map leads fields to contact fields. Go to opportunity, map leads fields to opportunity fields. So technically, all the fields which is custom you've created on the lead object would come up here. Then you can map them to all fields in opportunity, contact, or account. Do you understand? So you have the liberty to map any fields as long as you know them and you can see it here, you can map it regardless. Okay? Is this your question?
No, no.
Okay.
No.
Explain the question again so I can help you.
Yeah, the normal conversion is account, contact, and opportunity. Let's say we have a custom feed in a different object apart from these three objects, and I want to be able to, see that information in that feed.
So how can you relate lead to that object?
Yes, that's the question.
You cannot relate because there's no relationship.
Okay.
So if you have a relationship, then you can relate and map that field. Do you get what I mean?
Yes.
Yes. Because if you look at, let's go to the schema builder. Okay, let's go to the schema builder.
Okay.
And bring leads. Clear all. Bring leads. Okay. Then bring it to view. Let's bring accounts. Bring it to view as well. Then let's go to contacts. Always use your schema builder to see how things are related. Okay. So we have contact, then let's bring opportunities. Okay. So as you can see, lead does not have any relationship with all these three objects, but all these three objects are connected. The only reason why lead can convert is because Salesforce has an inbuilt feature for lead to be able to convert to this object. Okay, it's just a special feature from Salesforce. So in future, if you want to convert anything, you can just, there's so many ways to do that. You can do process builder. That's what we're going to do towards the end of this class, towards the end of this training. Process builder, whereby you build automation and you map it to any object you want. But now let's go gradually into that, okay? So you cannot convert to any other object unless you build an automation that would help you convert that, okay?
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Thanks. Just sorry to be an Oliver twist. The last one, yeah, when you were looking at auto number, I think when you created that account, the account also for ExxonMobil, I discovered that the auto number is like a read only. It cannot be edited.
Yes,
I was just wondering that the auto number looks like a formula feed. Formula feed are read only. You cannot edit them.
Pretty much. The reason why you cannot edit auto number is because if you edit them, Salesforce will not know where it is anymore. So what if you put this one as 10? So what about when it gets to 9 and the next record is 10? Then Salesforce said 10 already exists. Then there's an error somewhere. So Salesforce just take that liberty from you, that freedom from you to do auto number. You should follow the auto number format which you've created. So Salesforce just make it a formula field.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. It makes sense now. Thanks so much.
No worries. Sherma, please.
Okay, good evening. My question is with respect to the pick list. So in the area where you have, say, USA, you selected New York. Maybe Canada, you selected another city. How do you add other cities? Let's assume you have Nigeria now, and you want to add Lagos, Enugu, all these other cities on the drop-down list.
Yeah, I gave you an example of the normal pick list, okay, which was a country. The country was a normal pick list, and when you edit this pick list, when you edit this pick list, you can add new pick list, okay? You can just say Nigeria, and it will automatically come up in the options, Nigeria. That's for the country. This was a very straightforward one I did. Whereas for the city, I used a global set values. It was just a different way of representing pick list that you can use across multiple objects. So you don't have to repeat yourself. Okay? Then you can now add Lagos here. But remember, you could have done this from the account object, and the only difference is that it will be localized to the account object alone. But now, if I am on the opportunity object, I can create a new field called opportunity city, okay? Select pick list, opportunity city. Then instead of me having to start typing the same thing I typed when I was in accounts and everything, I just use my global city pick list. So I don't have to constantly type cities across multiple objects. I use it and I can use it across multiple objects. That's just the benefit. Otherwise, I could have just done the same thing. Lagos, London, New York, then Toronto, right?
Okay.
So it's still going to work. The only difference is that I have to constantly type them every time I want to do city. Every time I want to do city, I have to type them. Whereas for my global sets, I don't have to. I just need to use it, and that's all. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
No worries. Christian, please.
Okay, thank you, Babatope. My question is, or maybe where I have concern is the issue of standard objects and the custom objects. You said that, the two cannot be deleted. Then, is there a way that, okay, if I create new one and I want to maybe modify or maybe edit it, is it permitted, or I need clarification in that area, please?
Can you repeat yourself again? You said
you talk about standard objects and custom objects.
Yes.
That it cannot be deleted once it's created, right?
Standard objects comes with Salesforce by default. Yes. As you can see, if I go to the right of standard objects, I don't see any edits or deletes.
Okay.
But if I go to my custom objects, yes, I can see edit and delete. So by default, standard objects comes with Salesforce. You cannot edit or delete. But let's say you want to rename accounts. You want to call it clients.
Right.
How would you do it? Or you want to rename some fields in this bit. As you can see, all these fields, you cannot edit them. Okay? You cannot edit some of these fields.
Yes.
You go to tabs and you go to rename tabs and labels. Rename tabs and labels would now give you the liberty to change all this based on your interest. So now I'm changing my accounts to clients because my business said they don't want to call it account, they don't want to call it clients. As you can see, it changes to client. Okay, I save. And when I save, I go back to my account. Okay, I refresh this and it turns to clients. That's how to rename a standard object.
Okay.
For custom objects, you have the liberty to rename them anyhow.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
No worries. Edosa, please.
Good evening, sir.
Evening.
Yeah. My question is actually part of it has been answered already, but the last what's it called topic you stopped, which was master relationship and looked up relationship. There's something I just wanted to know there is it that when you create because you were saying something about there is one when you create it, when you are filling it up, maybe creating something under let's say students, then when you save, it will accept your save. But if on the other one, if you are saving anything, you have to fill up everything.
So let's do an example. Students, I want to create a student. I can specify the student name, a doser, okay? But because it's a lookup to department is a lookup, right? I don't have to specify a department. It's not compulsory. That's what a lookup means. A lookup means you just want to associate department to a student, but it's not compulsory. If you don't specify it, no penalty, nothing. It's going to go through, okay? That's what a lookup is. Loosely connected objects.
Okay.
Loosely connected objects. What's an example of that? An example of that is students and departments, okay? Now go to exam records. Exam records, when you create an exam records, you want to associate that exam record with a student. Because what is the purpose of creating an exam record? The purpose of creating an exam record is because you want that exam record to be associated to the student you're creating it for. So this type of relationship is master detail. The student is the owner of the record, and the exam record is just the child. Now, if you look at this record, can you see any owner in this record? There is no owner, right?
Yeah.
But let's go to students, and you go to a doser. You see owner.
Yeah.
What does that mean? It means that the person that owns this exam record that is associated to this student owns the exam record. If I delete the student called a doser exam record will be gone because of the association. That's what they call master detail relationship. If you know that, you can become a consultant. I can guarantee you that, because that is what most people want. Most people consult because they can use the default Salesforce hub. That's easy. That's easy. But how do you create a custom object for the benefit of their business? I want to create something Salesforce is not giving me out of the box. That's what a consultant does. It creates the object for them and create that association. But based on your security and visibility, you will now use that knowledge of security and visibility to control the objects and fields. That's it. So if you can master this and your security and control, you're good to go. And after this module, we're going to have a project that will reinforce your knowledge of building an application. Once you have that, you're good to go. Any interview you go for, you will pass it. I can guarantee you that. Object modeling, profiles, and access to data, that's the only thing they ask in interview. They don't ask anything else. So technically, after this module, you are 50% ready to become a Salesforce consultant. So please, guys, watch this video over and over again. That's going to help you. Okay, we're still 50% through, but the things we learned today alone is enough for you to get started as a consultant. Is enough for you. Okay, I'm going to go to is that okay, Edosa?
Very well, thank you so much.
Yeah, Tosin, please.
Good evening. Thank you very much. So my question is, earlier you talked about page layouts. So I wanted to know, can you have multiple page layouts for a single profile?
No, you can only assign one page layout per profile. So as you can see, go to client, remind me to change this back to account so you go to page layouts, right? And you can assign the page layout, one profile, one page layout. However, we haven't talked about one thing, which is record types. when you create a record types, then you can have multiple page layouts to a profile, but you need to use record types. I don't want to go into record types today because it's already late and I don't want to introduce a new concept. But once you have record type, you now have different page layouts for a profile, but it's going to be driven by the record type. What type of records determines the page layout?
Okay. When did you say we're doing the project again?
After this module. So this is what I want to teach this module. If you can finish all these things in this module, we are good for the project, but we cannot do the project without this module. So the project is likely to be after Monday class. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Adiola, please. Adiola, please. You're speaking, but it's not, I cannot hear you. Adiola, I cannot hear you. Okay, we're going to move to the next person. Adewale, please.
Thank you very much, Babatope. I have about 3 to 4 questions, but they're very, very simple and short, especially for you. So when you were talking about custom objects, you know, where we had optional features, right? Is it safe to just click all those optional features so that you don't get stuck, you know, upfront, or you just want to find out that there is a need for you to click any of those optional options before you just go back in there and click them? For example, you know, like in the heat of things, you leave out reports, for example, and then a time comes when you've been asked to, you know, make a report. You know, for some reason, you might not even know where to find it, but when you're, you know, creating the object, is it safe to just make sure that, you know, you click all those optional, you know, features so that you don't get stuck in the future? That's one. I know you're already there and you're going to answer that. Number 2, I don't know if I missed it. I think it was sometime in the beginning of the lecture, you said you were going to show us how to make sure that we see all of the tabs on there, where you have campaigns, contacts, and the rest of that. That, you know, some tabs might be hiding, and then you said you're going to let us see how we're going to see everything in full. And then, okay, I'll make it short. The third one, so that you can answer everything in one go. The third one, for example, you know, like you're creating a custom object, right? Now, in the interview process, if we're going to be tested, you know, on this particular area, are they going to tell us whatever the label offer is going to be? I mean, the label name is going to be record name, you know, if it's going to be auto number, or you're just going to use your intuition to say, okay, because you're a consultant, then you should know what to expect? Or would it be, for example, if you're going to create custom dates or maybe currency for for your object that you're creating, what would actually necessitate you to determine the fields you are going to add to particular objects? And finally, I think I've lost the final question, but maybe when you're answering the first 3, I might be able to remember. Thank you very much.
Okay, those are very good questions. And let me start from the last one. So when it comes to fields, you're in charge, but you're not totally in charge because it depends on the organization settings. If you're working with a local business, if you're working with a small business, you can dictate what fields and what labels you can get for those fields, for those custom objects, right? You can dictate it because you're a consultant, they believe you, they trust you. And based on your experience, you can now say, in an exam records, for instance, you need to have subjects, you need to have student score, you need to have X whatever field, okay? You can dictate it. But In a bigger enterprise, you don't dictate it. You just suggest, but a business analyst will now do the business requirements, then give it to you to implement. That's where in a bigger enterprise, you work with a team of PMs, business analysts, developers, consultants, and the likes. Okay. So BA goes to business and asks, what is the name of this field? What should we call it? What data type should we call it? Business analysts will give you all those requirements. The job of a consultant is the easiest if they know what they're doing. Okay? Because you already know the data type and everything. You just go on the Salesforce app and start doing it. Easy peasy. Okay? Makes sense. Yeah. If you're working with a local shop or local business, you now be in charge. Shut up. I've designed Salesforce app for some people, and I determine whatever they call anything, and they might not even, question it because they trust you. And that's where the experience comes in as well, right? Based on your experience and projects, you start talking as a consultant, okay? Now, to your other question, visibility is driven by so many things. The first thing is profiles. If you go to profiles, for accounting department, for instance, if I edit this profile, I go to let's go to object settings, and I go to account object settings. Okay, then I edit the account object settings for the profile accounting department. Can you see what it is? It's a tab hidden, default off, default on. Oh, okay. So if I set it as default off, I save, and I refresh this page. Remember, we've changed account to client. Okay, I refresh this page, but obviously I was editing the accounting department. So if I log in as this guy again, it's gone, right? But it is off. Off meaning that I can now add it on demand. Okay? Yeah. I can add it on demand. Off meaning that it won't appear by default, but I can add it back on demand. It's back. That's number one. Number two is default on, meaning that it's going to appear as long as I'm assigned this profile. It's going to appear as long as I'm assigned this profile, default on. And number three is tab hidden. It does not matter if if you have the profile or not. If I go back to that profile and I refresh, the client will be gone. Client is an account, by the way, for those wondering. I renamed it to client. As you can see, the client is off, and you cannot even add it because you won't see it. It's gone. Okay? Yeah. It's gone. And to answer your third question, it's up to you to select those items when you're creating the objects, okay? It's not mandatory. It's up to you, but you can always go back and take it off if you don't need it. The only difference is that if you want to generate a report, you have to select it. If you want to generate track field history, you have to select it. So right now on the student object, I have track field history selected. If I go to the student, I'll be able to see the history of certain fields. So right now it's not here, but if I go to the profile of the student object, if I go to the object of the student object, go to page layout for the student object, then I can go to related list. I can go to related list, and I can bring student history to related list. So right now, I'll be able to see the history of the student. Whatever changes I've made to the student, will be able to appear in the history of the student. Can you see? That's what they call history. So if you did not select this history when you're creating the object, you will not be able to do that.
See, yeah.
One of your projects will require you to have the history enabled. These are the things that I would ask you in your project. Okay, so that's that. Does that answer all your questions?
Oh, very well, Babatope. So now I remember the fourth question. Now, you've done a great job, so much that I've been able to see a kind of pattern in all these things that would rather make it easy for me, and maybe if, it would be make it look easy for all other persons listening as well. You know, the object manager seems to be very important when you're creating an object. The first place where your mind wants to go to is the object manager. And once you've been able to create that custom object, when you're creating custom object, any other fields that you need to add and some other attachments, you want to link it through the field and relationships. Now, after you have created the field and you want to create details, now you begin to go into some of, maybe be it currency, maybe be it checkbox, maybe be it date and time and stuff like that. You're still going to find all that in the fields and relationship. But when it comes to details, when you've created some of the fields, whatever you've created will give you another sub, part of the next thing that you need to do. And you always want to click new. Does that seem to be the pattern? If yes, I think I'm good on that. And then the other thing I want to add is where you usually required to use the app launcher. For example, if we need to replace sales, and maybe we want to put another, I don't know what to call that. That's why I want to say business, for example. Like I have a business idea. Maybe I want to introduce an application like, how do I put it? Like, okay, car rentals, right? And I want to customize my own name on there. Do I always have to use the app launcher?
Yes. So if you want to create a new app, just like service, sales, and everything, which we're going to go through maybe tomorrow or Monday, you can do it. So essentially, you just create the app, you call it whatever name you want to call it, and it's going to appear just like what we have now. Service, car rental, anything is going to appear just like this.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So you can even
everything else you can
even hide all this. You can hide it and make it just car rental app. People are making money from just creating single app for people.
Makes
just
sense.
Local, go to any local business, find them what you're doing, find them, tell them how Salesforce can help them without hiring a full-time developer. And you just set up their business and you get your money, and it could be 10 grand, it could be 20 grand, get it and you're gone. That's it. Okay, you just need to understand. Need to understand how to develop models. Okay, that's a key thing. Yeah, sure. Mercy, please.
Okay, Babatope, thank you. My question is just around implementation and requirement gathering. For example, if you are a Salesforce BA in an organization, does that mean you are going to be writing the requirement as well as implementing?
If you are a Salesforce BA, you will just be writing requirement. But what you need to be doing is telling the business that this can be done, this cannot be done. So you're working, you're acting as a consultant behind the scene in front of the business, and you're communicating in terms of Salesforce terminologies. So you wouldn't call object database, you will call object objects. So don't say you store this in the database. No, you store this in the object. That's what a BA does. A BA would use Salesforce terminologies. So if you want to work as a BA, you don't need to know anything I'm teaching in terms of implementation, but you need to pay attention to the terms I'm using. That terms is what you need to know as a BA. So BA job is so easy, but it's very technical as well. Just pay attention to objects, fields, permissions, visibility, profiles. Those are the things you need to know as a BA, but you don't need to know how to do it. Okay?
Okay, I just wanted to be sure. Okay.
Yeah, that's good. No worries. Adiola, did you raise your hand up again?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. So my question is, when you're creating a new custom object, the field plural label in the example requires an S or a S rather, but when you were creating employee, you didn't have the S and it allowed you to save.
Yeah.
So I really want to understand the employee.
It's a required field, but it can be the same. It doesn't matter. If it's XYZ, it can still be XYZ. So it's just your choice. Okay? It's just your choice. Yeah.
Okay. Because of the name plural and all examples I've seen usually have the S. So that's why I was wondering.
Yeah. I was just a bit confused whether you call it employees or employee. I don't know. But again, it's an English language, right? So
yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No worries. Karen, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to find out, when we were looking at profiles, like we have the accounting profile, the marketing profile, and when we were looking at objects, we had like standard and custom objects. I don't know if we can also create a custom profile, because I know the ones we have seen so far, they're all like standard.
This is a custom profile. We created custom profile on day 2 or day 3.
That's right. Thank you. I forgot.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Dominic, please.
Okay. Good evening, Babatope. So my question is, I just hope at some point you'll be able to help someone who is in the project management role with and is into Salesforce to be able to bring out the picture, because what I see here is more of admin. And like you said, as a Salesforce consultant, so I don't know how someone who's into project management will be able to apply this knowledge in terms of handling Salesforce projects or deployments.
That's again, that's a good question. And the members, which some of you are paid for membership, and what I planned for you guys that are paid members is to bring a project manager that is currently working within the Salesforce ecosystem. Bring a BA that is currently working within the Salesforce ecosystem, and your project will be driven based on those things. That means you're going to learn from a BA that is working in Salesforce right now. You're going to learn from a project manager that is working within the Salesforce ecosystem. So you learn what they do at work. As a Salesforce project manager, you learn what they do at work as a Salesforce BA. But this is just for members. This is not for everyone. But if you were part of the membership, you would get an opportunity. But again, I should reinforce, as a PM, as a BA, you don't need to know how to do all this. You just need to be in this class and just be paying attention. Be listening and be rewatching the video. If you're going for interviews, read about profiles video. If you're going for interviews on BA, read everything we did from day 1 to day 4. You will pass that interview, know how. You understand? So don't understand, in as much as I would love you to be able to create objects, I would love you to be able to build models. You don't need to know how to do it, but you need to be able to talk the language of Salesforce. You need to be able to convince your recruiter that you know the Salesforce, even though you cannot even create an object. So that's why I'm training certain people to just become BA. But they have to be in class, they have to do the trail leg, but make sure that you can speak that language. That's all you need. You don't need to, even admins would not build models. Salesforce, like the schema builder I was showing you, that's for developers or consultants. Admin don't need to do all this stuff. They don't need to build relationship. Consultant will tell them or implement this, then an admin will just manage it. Admin just need to know where the object is, and they can create maybe a new field in an object, or they can rename that field into something else. That's the job of an admin. It's so easy that you don't even need to stress yourself. But it is required to know these fundamentals before you get your certification. After your certification, you can stop there and just keep working as an admin. As long as you know where things are. When they ask you to go and create a new user, you know how to create a new user, you are good. Some people, they pay them $100 per hour just because they're creating a new user. It's possible. So please don't limit yourself to just the knowledge. Try to implement, but at work, you would not even do any of this. You would just be telling them what to do. But you need to be very smart. Accumulate this knowledge, and when they're talking about it, you can contribute in the stand-up. That's why I'm training you guys, to be able to speak when others are speaking about Salesforce. Okay? Is that okay with you?
Yes, it is. Thank you very much.
No worries. Joseph, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Olajide, for your, Babatope, for your help all this while. And I just want to ask a question regarding the interview hints you talked about. Can you reiterate on those points that we need to know? Object modeling and some other things you said?
I'm trying to, can you repeat that question, please? I'm trying to
you just mentioned about some interview hints that we need to know and get ourselves up to date on, so that we can be able to speak the language of Salesforce to the interviewers and all that. So can you just iterate on those points so that we can note them down?
You can just watch the video and you just pause it and play it again. That's the perfect way. But again, like I said, all you just need to do or know is the Salesforce terms. If you are not working or aspiring to work as a consultant needs to know how to implement this, okay? So if you're not aspiring to work as a consultant, maybe you want to work as a PM. In the stand-up, when they're creating user stories, they will be mentioning this, creating profiles, and your developers or consultant will tell you that this is 3 points. You want to ask them, why is it 3 points? All you just need to go to is set up, create profile. Do you get what I mean? As a PM, you need to know the estimates. How long would it take to create an object? How long would it take to create a field in an object? Because you can do it, you know that it will take X amount of time. And as a PM, it's your responsibility to know how long and estimate them when a developer comes into place. So my point is, in as much as it's not mandatory for you to be able to implement this, it's important for you to know how in future, when you're attending interviews or you're in a place where they're talking about it, you'll be able to communicate the Salesforce language. Okay, so know the terminologies, know what profiles, permission sets, objects are, know what fields are, know what page layouts are, and you'll be good. Okay, but please, for this training, I want you to implement. Okay, I want you to do the projects. I want you to feel confident. I want you to get your certification. Then after that, it's totally up to you what you decide to do. Okay?
Thank you very much.
No worries. Is that all from you guys? We need to really stop now because it's almost 25 minutes past our normal time. Does anyone have any other questions before?
One quick question, please. How long are those videos going to be available on the SharePoint, on our SharePoint, yes?
I cannot guarantee that. Just learn as much as possible, write notes, do the trailheads. And I just want it to be, that's why I kind of like create memberships so people can be immensely involved in Salesforce. And within 3 months, they get a job and they don't even have to keep watching videos, but they are now on the job. But right now, I cannot say how long the video will be up for. I cannot say anything. But if you have the opportunity and the privilege, just take advantage of it. It's free. So please take advantage of it, because I might not even be the one teaching tomorrow. I might not be the one teaching on the next year. But right now I have the time and I'm putting all my strength to make sure you're there. Take advantage of it and get your certification. That's all you need for now, your certification. After that, every recruiter will believe that you know Salesforce, okay? Get your certification and you'll be good, okay?
One last thing, please. Could you please share the link for the Trailhead for this week? I closed the tab unknowingly, please.
Okay,
for the
I'll
trail
share
mix.
Just send me personal message. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
I don't have it right now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So Babatope, we can't even download the video, right?
Come on. No. Just watch it, please. Watch. I want you to be determined, to be focused. That's the whole idea. If you have an idea of downloading the video in future, you don't want to watch it. That's why if you don't attend the class, you don't see it. You know, like if I made the video available, so people will not come up to class. They will just, okay, I'm gonna get the video tomorrow anyway. So why come to class? So please follow the process. It's a strategy we've put in place to see how to get results from people based on patterns, based on membership, based on trailheads. I'm doing some data analysis on you guys as well, right? And that data analysis is helping me to shape on the next cohort. So please follow the process and see what the outcome will look like for you. Okay? Right, no worries. Tammy, please. Tammy, please. So we have 3 minutes left. Tammy, please. Okay, Christina, please. Christina, please. You're speaking, but I cannot hear you guys. Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Carry on.
I just wanted to ask if you are still taking members.
I think we're overwhelmed right now with quite a lot. So my recommendation would be next cohort we should take. Next cohort will be bigger than this, I'm hoping, but I don't even want to talk about next cohort right now. My focus is the people that, even though you guys are my focus right now. You guys are attending the training and my members that have shown interest to get the job within 3 months, okay? But you guys that haven't subscribed as a member, I believe you probably have a good job that is going on fine for you. Maybe that's the reason why you haven't. So let's just focus on the members to get a job, but for you guys to get the knowledge, and let's see how it goes, okay? So membership is currently closed right now. I'm sorry. And maybe next year we're going to have a new cohort, okay? But please, this cohort is still very important. We barely started. What do you say?
Okay, no problem.
I can barely hear what you're saying, but I'm guessing you're saying it's not problem, right?
I'm saying that, okay, that's fine. It's okay. It's okay. Maybe I'll send you. It's okay. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, thanks. Tammy, last chance before we close. We have 1 minute left.
No, I was just talking in regards to the video. Probably you give us a considerable amount of time to probably just watch and study.
You guys should subscribe to the single login, right? Because single login is also a business and it's on a server. It's on a server, right? So I think it's about $5 a month or something like that. So if you guys have single login,
we'll do that too. Please, just give us some few amount of time to master this thing. We have to master it.
Okay, so I think it's about $5 a month or something. So maybe I'll just maybe those that have single login account active after the training would be able to access the videos. So yeah, you guys can patronize us as well. We're building a software, right? And we never can tell where it's going to take. But again, we are validating our software with this training and hopefully something good can come out of it. Thanks.
All right, thanks.
I think that's all for me. And it's been a wonderful time teaching you. It's really, really, really an interesting module. If you guys can master this, you guys are good. Again, we have a lot to cover, but for now, please bear with me. It can be very challenging, but try to pay attention and ask as many questions, and we're going to get this done, okay? Thanks, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care and have a good night.